Welcome to the Document Strategy Podcast, a free and independent podcast dedicated to the promotion of document strategy design worldwide. I'm your host, Kevin Crane, and this is podcast episode number 50 for March 2013. That's right, episode number 50, and we're celebrating that accomplishment here at the Document Strategy Podcast. Indeed, 3.5 years ago when we started our little podcast, I don't think any of us envisioned that we would have endured this long or have listeners all around the world. I want to thank our listeners out there, all of you, for your continued support. I hope the subjects and the information that we cover here are useful and entertaining. And I want to thank all of our great guests as well. We've had some fantastic interviews, and the great guests are what make this podcast so special. That brings me to my guest today, marketing expert Dan Sherman. Dan is the author of the book Maximizing Success with LinkedIn, published by McGraw-Hill, and we'll be discussing how to leverage the power of LinkedIn. Most people know about LinkedIn, but if you think it's only a tool to find a job or post your resume online, you may be missing a big part of the equation. Dan has some interesting and valuable advice for businesses as well. How to grow your business, generate quality leads, and drive traffic to your website. Naturally, we'll be discussing how individuals can maximize LinkedIn too, ways to build your personal brand, turn your passion into profits, or simply find that job opportunity of your dreams. So stick around, all of that and more, when we return with this episode of the Document Strategy Podcast. This episode of the Document Strategy Podcast is sponsored in part by Pro Channel Manager from Crawford Technologies. Are you able to deliver important communications to your customers when, where, and how they want it? What about interfacing with digital mailbox services for significant savings and increased customer satisfaction? With Pro Channel Manager from Crawford Technologies, you can deliver critical customer communications to leading digital mailbox services. Manage all customer preferences for communication delivery from one database. Realize your portion of billions of dollars in printing and mailing savings with Pro Channel Manager. Best of all, you reach your best customers where, when, and how they want. Find out more about Pro Channel Manager at crawfordtech.com. That's www.crawfordtech.com. www.document-strategy.com. That's where you'll find everything you need to put together a document strategy that will result in real-world bottom-line benefits, including my 3-hour document strategy training seminar on DVD. This video training program covers the methods and concepts found in my book, Designing a Document Strategy, including an in-depth discussion of the 5-phase document strategy design model, as well as case studies that demonstrate how the approaches and methodology can be used in the real world. Folks, this is independent, user-focused education on document strategy design, the kind of information that you can take back to your place of business to build real-world strategies that will save you money, improve efficiency, and bolster end-user satisfaction. Don't have time or the funding to leave your office for industry conferences and technical seminars? No problem. Now you can benefit from this document strategy training without leaving your office. Visit www.document-strategy.com to order your copy today. There's nothing else like it available. 3 hours of document strategy design training on DVD. That's www.document-strategy.com, your real-world resource for document strategy design.
You're listening to the Document Strategy Podcast.
Dan Sherman, welcome to the Document Strategy Podcast. The title of your new book is Maximum Success with LinkedIn. Dominate your market, build a global brand, and create a career of your dreams. How can companies use LinkedIn to boost their success in the market and build their brand?
Well, when we're talking about companies, we have to keep in mind that LinkedIn offers company pages. And there are over 2 million companies that have taken advantage of this. And so every company should take advantage of it. It's another little spot on the web for you to present your goods and services, and they're free. And anybody can set up a company page. And in LinkedIn's terms and conditions, you can have one personal profile, but you can have as many company pages as you want. And companies now have set up really incredible content-rich company pages on LinkedIn that has multimedia. You can add videos, you can add customer testimonials, you can list all the people per your product who on LinkedIn people should call to contact. So it's an incredible channel to drive information and to drive customer requests, and these are all free.
In what ways can I use that to boost my business success?
Well, let's say you had a company of 10 employees, okay? So for hypothetically, every employee would have a link to that company page from their experience section, for example. So if someone is connecting with LinkedIn, they'll say, well, where does this person work? They'll click on that company link in their profile, takes them to the company page where they can learn more about the company, and they can find out about products and services that they might want to buy. So that's one way that you can leverage it. The second way to leverage it is if you are doing publicity for this company, you can send out the company link that goes right to that company page, use it as kind of like a second website. The third thing you can do is, and this is there's a marketing company called HubSpot that uses their company page very effectively as a lead generation tool. They have listed all of their white papers on their company page and says, hey, take our white paper, and then you click on that, and it takes you to the Hub page website with a capture form where it captures all the information about you and your company. So they're using it as a lead gen tool. And there's just an enormous amount of ways that you can use these to promote yourself.
Dan, it seems like everybody's talking about Facebook and Twitter, but LinkedIn doesn't seem to get the same kind of attention and media spotlight. Why is that?
On Facebook and Twitter, the media is very focused around celebrities. So they're going to say, XYZ celebrity has 1 million Twitter followers, or someone, has 1 million Facebook fans. And they get very, very caught up in sort of celebrity concepts, whereas LinkedIn is strictly for professionals. They do get noticed. Like, for example, there's a press release that came out yesterday on TechCrunch, which is a big media blog about technology, that LinkedIn just passed 200 million members. So they do get some publicity, but they're not celebrity focused the way that Twitter and Facebook is, and the media feeds on celebrity news. That's how they get people to watch and read their media. So in the background, LinkedIn quietly has become this behemoth, a third largest social site that is used every day by professionals, and it's the best kept secret in the world.
Yes, it's sort of social media's best kept secret. How is LinkedIn more effective for business than these other social platforms? A lot of my clients and my associates use Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn, but LinkedIn seems to be more focused on that professional side. How is it more effective how can it be more effective than Facebook and Twitter for businesses?
Well, it's more effective because, number one, it's only for business. And so there's 200 million professionals on there, and they're on there for one reason, and that's to network. And that's to get ahead, to find people who can help them, to find people they can help. And so there's no distractions. There's no games. There's no Farmville. There's no Mafia Wars. There's no people trying to sell, uninteresting things to you. It's strictly for business. It's strictly to get on there and build your professional network and start contacting people who can help you get to the next level, or who can get into business with you as your partner, as your customer, as an advisor. So it's strictly a business tool with no distractions, no games, whereas Twitter and Facebook are more like a water cooler where people just sort of hang out and gab a little bit.
So I'm a business owner and I want to get into social media marketing, and I want to start using LinkedIn as part of that mix. What specific tips do you have for businesses and organizations to leverage the power of LinkedIn?
Well, the first step is your personal profile. Everything is kind of begins around the personal profile. In fact, you can't have a company page until you first have a personal profile. So if someone's looking to get involved with LinkedIn, the first step is to sign up, create a personal profile, and if they're going to use it for business, which is what LinkedIn is for, then that personal profile needs to be very outward customer focused. In other words, doesn't have to be all about you. It's about what you can do for the person who lands on your profile. It's not a copy of your resume. You don't cut and paste your resume. You think about the user, you think about the customers, and then you build a customer-centered profile that explains to them what's going to happen for them if they decide to do business with you or partner with you or invest in your company. And so it all sort of starts with that really great personal profile.
I'm speaking with Dan Sherman, the author of the book Maximum Success with LinkedIn and social media marketing expert. We're going to take a short break, but when we get back, we'll talk some more.
Do you have great ideas but need expert writing skills to make them leap from the page? Do you have a great product or service that needs better exposure to new customers, potential partners, or the media? Crane Communications Group is a custom writing and communications agency focused on the document processing and information management industries, expert writing and editing, audio success stories and custom podcasts, and dependable and professional customer service. Contact us today at www.cranegroup.com. That's Crane, C-R-A-I-N-E, cranegroup.com.
Since 1995, Crawford Technologies has been the driving force behind high-volume transactional customer communications for corporations and service bureaus around the globe. Transform print streams to and from virtually any format. Alter, enhance, modify, or add advertising to transactional documents without application changes. Archive and store customer communications, then allow them to be presented online. Crawford Tech allows all of this and more. Visit crawfordtech.com for more information. That's www.crawfordtech.com. Award-winning software for high-volume transactional customer communications.
You're listening to the Document Strategy Podcast.
Welcome back. I'm speaking with Dan Sherman, author of the book Maximum Success with LinkedIn. Dominate your market, build a global brand, and create a career of your dreams. Now, Dan, in your book, you also talk about the value of LinkedIn for individuals and professionals. How can we use LinkedIn to, as you say, create a career of your dreams?
Well, there are, first of all, LinkedIn was originally created as a recruiting tool. And LinkedIn gets 50 to 60% of their revenues from recruiters. And so if you are seeking the career of your dream, you got to know that recruiters are on LinkedIn as thick as flies on honey. And so you can reach out to any of those recruiters, and they will take a look at your profile, and if you've built it in a benefit-oriented way, they might be able to suggest things that are good for you. And you can, you don't have to broadcast this. You can do this when you already have a job. You can message recruiters and get them to message you back, and you can start a dialogue with them. That's one thing you can do. If you're looking to create the career of your dreams, decide who you want to work for. They're probably on LinkedIn. Connect with them on LinkedIn. Read their profile. See what they're involved in, what activities they are. Get to know them, and then send them a message and introduce yourself. So those are two ways that anybody can use LinkedIn to get the career of their dreams by reaching out to recruiters and potential hiring managers. And that's just two of the ways.
What do you say to folks that generally have the impression that LinkedIn is relatively passive and not much more than a place just to simply post your resume online?
Well, LinkedIn is not just a place to post a resume. LinkedIn is what I like to call a search engine for people. And every opportunity starts with a person. And so knowing that there's 200 million professionals on LinkedIn, if you take the mindset that I'm going to use this as a search engine for people, I'm going to type into the search box who I want to meet, who can take me to the next level, be that a client, be that a partner, be that an investor, and take an active role with LinkedIn and use it as your own personal Rolodex, which is what I do. Anytime that I need information on something, I go to LinkedIn. Anytime I want to get a partner or create a joint venture with something, I go to LinkedIn. I use it more as a personal Rolodex. It's not just a listing of people's resumes.
Well, that's exactly right. That's how we connected. I knew of your book, and first place I went was to LinkedIn to find you and connect with you. What specific tips do you have for individuals to leverage this power of LinkedIn? Is there different approaches or different advice that you give for folks that are currently seeking employment versus those that already have a job?
Well, if you're seeking employment, the first thing you need is a list of 20 target companies. Any job counselor will tell you that. So if you've got your list of 20 target companies, places where you want to work, you jump on LinkedIn. Like I said, there's 200 million people there. You can start searching by company, by target company, find people who work at that target company, and then reach out to them, but not in an offensive way, but in a way that, hey, I read your profile, I see you're working at XYZ company, I am so interested in that company. Have you got 10 minutes to get on the phone with me and kind of tell me a little bit about what you do there? And so you reach out to people at target companies and begin a dialogue with them, and that can lead to them saying, hey, there's somebody else here that you should be talking to. And so you sort of start to build what I call internal advocates at that target company who can then turn you on to the person in a department who may be hiring at that company. So that's just one of the many, many ways you can use LinkedIn to start creating contacts with companies where you want to work, and you build that relationship up until someone's taking your resume and walking it down the hall to HR.
I'm speaking with Dan Sherman, social media marketing expert and author of the book Maximum Success with LinkedIn. We're going to take another short break, but when we get back, I'm going to ask Dan about where LinkedIn is headed and some of the controversy about the endorsements that have been recently put into place at LinkedIn. So stick around. We'll be right back with this episode of the Document Strategy Podcast. This is Kevin Crane. Do you need to design and implement a document strategy but don't know where to begin? What's the process that you should follow for an effective strategy? How can you select the right technologies and solutions for your particular situation? How can you sell your strategy and get support for your efforts from executive decision makers and coworkers? I invite you to visit www.document-strategy.com for more information about my Designing a Document Strategy book, workbook, and training seminar on DVD. That's www.document-strategy.com, your real-world resource for document strategy design.
Do you have great ideas but need expert writing skills to make them leap from the page? Do you have a great product or service that needs better exposure to new customers, potential partners, or the media? Crane Communications Group is a custom writing and communications agency focused on the document processing and information management industries, expert writing and editing, audio success stories and custom podcasts, and dependable and professional customer service. Contact us today at www.cranegroup.com. That's Crane, C-R-A-I-N-E, cranegroup.com.
You're listening to the Document Strategy Podcast.
Welcome back. I'm speaking with Dan Sherman, social media marketing expert and author of the book Maximum Success with LinkedIn. Now, Dan, there's been some degree of controversy developing lately. In fact, just in the last day or two, I've been reading about the endorsement feature that LinkedIn introduced late last year. It's been very popular, but that's kind of the problem. Folks are concerned that endorsements often are coming now from people that they really don't know, and that the volume and lack of relevance and credibility is actually diluting the value of the program. What are your thoughts about the new endorsement feature?
I view it as kind of a mixed bag. Originally all we had was recommendations, which is extremely powerful, where someone has to really know you and write a paragraph about you And, your job is to really get as many recommendations as you can. I've got about 150 on my profile, and it helps me in my business because people see I'm the real deal. Whereas with endorsements, anybody who doesn't know you can just click a button and then they endorse you. So it's a mixed bag, and I think that people who are like looking at my profile and they'll see 150 people endorse Dan for social media marketing. Well, that's nice, but I think people who are users of LinkedIn realize that those can just be had by a click of the button, and so they're not to be taken with the importance of the recommendations where someone actually sat down and wrote something about you. So in the end, they're good to have, but I think people know that they're more limited than the great recommendations.
Where's LinkedIn heading in the next 12 months or so? Do you think this endorsement feature will endure? What are some of the other enhancements and movement forward for LinkedIn?
Well, we're always talking in the answer feature. We're always gabbing back and forth about what LinkedIn should add. And the users have come up with a lot of great ideas, and we talk amongst ourselves. However, LinkedIn is kind of a closed ecosystem. They don't particularly reach out and ask us what we want. They're sort of like Steve Jobs. The customer will know what he wants when I give it to him. And LinkedIn is like that. They do things, and we take them and we use them. So while I could tell you all the great things that we've suggested to LinkedIn, I can tell you that I have no idea what they're going to do.
Now, Dan, social media is all about portraying yourself in a positive way, and there are different ways to frame that depending on the social outlet that you're working in. What about etiquette on LinkedIn? How can I conduct myself on LinkedIn using the proper etiquette?
Well, that's a great question, because LinkedIn is a social network, and but it's so different than the other social networks. On Facebook you can get away with talking about what you had for breakfast, and you can talk about sort of gabby things like what's on TV. Same thing with Twitter. LinkedIn, there's a real professional etiquette that people really need to adhere to. There's 200 million professionals on LinkedIn. They're all business people. We're all busy. You have to really get to the point of what you're trying to achieve when you reach out to someone or when you message someone. When you reach out to someone on LinkedIn, get to the point. What is it about them that made you write to them, and what is it that you're looking for them to do? And don't beat around the bush. Get to the point. When you do a status update, make sure it's business-oriented. Make sure it's something helpful. Make sure it's leading somebody to a website or an article on the web that's going to help them with their business. So always keep in mind, get to the point, number one, and number two, be helpful with business-related topics. I think if you use those two guidelines, you will do okay on LinkedIn.
What about status updates? I know status updates are often linked to Twitter posts, and sometimes that results in a lot of clutter, which is maybe okay on Twitter, but not so much on LinkedIn. And I've had folks comment to me, we really like the fact that you don't post something every 10 minutes. I mean, what's the etiquette and the rule of thumb when it comes to status updates and posts? How much, how frequently, that kind of thing?
Right, it's completely different than Twitter. Twitter, you're allowed to post 10 times an hour or something crazy like that. That's a different medium. LinkedIn, you want to limit your posts, in my opinion, to a couple a day. It's not the 10 an hour like Twitter is, but a couple a day. And you can vary your status updates. You can send people to a cool article or a cool website. Or it doesn't have to be about you. You could say, I just hired John Smith down the street. He's the greatest accountant. Why don't you go and check him out? So you can promote other people and other businesses. But I'd keep it to a couple a day, because LinkedIn is not a place where you want to hook it up to your Twitter and blast people. You got to be a little bit more restrained.
I'm with Dan Sherman, social media expert and author of the book Maximum Success with LinkedIn. Dan, how can folks find your book, connect with you, and find out more about what you do in terms of consulting and seminars?
Well, great question. They can go on Amazon.com or Barnes & Noble's online. They can buy the book online as a paperback or as an ebook if they like that strategy. It's published by McGraw-Hill, so it's available in all bookstores, and if it's not, you can ask the person there to order it. So it's available in bookstores or online. And in terms of working with me, I do a lot of keynotes on LinkedIn. I do a lot of consulting on LinkedIn. I have all that information on my website, which is www.linkedsuccess, all one word, .com. And there's my contact info there. And if anybody wants to send me a message, my email is dan@linkedsuccess.com, and I'd love to hear from anybody.
That's Dan Sherman, www.linkedsuccess.com, author of the book Maximum Success with LinkedIn and social media expert. Dan, I really want to thank you for spending time out of your busy schedule to visit us here on the Document Strategy Podcast.
Well, thanks for having me, and I really hope that your listeners start taking advantage of LinkedIn right away.
That'll do it for this episode of the Document Strategy Podcast. Join us next time when we continue to explore methods, technologies, and techniques to design real-world document strategies with bottom-line benefits. I'm your host, Kevin Crane. Thanks for listening. Document-strategy.com, your real-world resource for document strategy design.